presentation by Sierra Telecom and the county in reference to getting the free 50 megabyte internet service to the Veterans Memorial Building. So, Marty, are you going to take it, or no? We'd be happy to have Pluma Sierra take it directly. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for taking the time to come and attend the meeting.
Thank you for having us. First of all, I'd like to thank the Lassen
I'm
County.
afraid you're going to have to give your name.
Okay, sorry about that.
Don't
My name
mind.
is Roxanna Haynes. I'm the major accounts manager for the Lassen County area. And I am with Pluma Sierra Telecommunications.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you. First, we'd like to thank the Lassen County Board of Supervisors, the City of Susanville, Elmud, and Zeta Media for their cooperation, which has made the completion of the federal grant possible. As you know, the deadline for the grant is July 31st. This means for Pluma Sierra Telecommunications that we must have all of the, what we refer to as CAIs, or the Community Anchor Institutions, installed and ready for service by that date. The anchor tenants in Lassen County include Lassen College, Lassen County Office of Ed, California Correctional Center, High Desert State Prison, Sierra Army Depot, Susanville Indian Rancheria, and Hurlong High School and Lassen Union High School. We are happy to announce that all of these facilities are installed and ready to take service. We have also been working with Verizon to upgrade the bandwidth at all of their cell sites in Lassen and Plumas County. The infrastructure we are providing Verizon will allow them in the future to offer LTE service, the current standard for wireless communication, high-speed data for mobile phones. And finally, the reason we're here today is to make good on a promise that our General Manager Bob Marshall made to the Lassen County Board of Supervisors and the City of Susanville. We are seeking approval to install a 50 megabit wireless hotspot at the Veteran Services located at Memorial Building on Main Street. This would be at no expense to Lassen County or the City of Susanville. Pluma Sierra Telecommunications and Zeta Media would sponsor this hotspot jointly. This hotspot represents our commitment to veteran services, the community, and regional economic development. Veteran Services will now be able to effectively share online resources with local vets, including information on housing, employment, and medical benefits. Additionally, the Memorial Building will now be able to offer Wi-Fi as an added benefit to the rental of the facility. Our commitment to both the community and regional economic development also prompted the delivery of this service to the Memorial Building. The community and our visitors will have the opportunity to experience a 50 meg speed that is now available to homes and businesses throughout Lassen County. We hope this display of high-speed internet will prompt prospective businesses and owners to consider opening their doors in Lassen County. Both Zeta Media and Pluma Sierra Telecommunications feel strongly about promoting Lassen County and the benefits of moving a business to the area to create new jobs. We anticipate installing more hotspots over time and hope these efforts will promote the area and continue to drive growth. And again, we'd like to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Roxanne.
Thank you.
Board members have any questions or comments before we open it up to the audience? Supervisor Alba, please.
How big is the hotspot? How far out does it go with the Wi-Fi or whatever it is?
Sure, so that's going to be dependent on the wireless router that the county installs. We have asked Robert Telly to install a minimum of an N generation router, which is going to give a greater spread of the service and also more adequately spread out the access to the internet, so that the first person that logs on doesn't get all of it. The N generation routers are capable of spreading out that internet service. I think Rob Telly has indicated that they will be putting the employees that work at the building behind a firewall so that their services won't be affected by the Wi-Fi service that's spread out to the community.
How far around the building will the wireless be available? I'm thinking the kids across the street at the high school, that could become a concern for them. In terms of population, I don't think there's a lot of media folks next to the building, at the pizza place next door.
Sure. Well, the intent is that, both the community and visitors have a high-speed internet experience. So, our position is that if the high school students log on, is it necessarily a bad thing? I don't know. I don't think so.
The reason why I ask that is because, everybody has a wireless. You go on And I'm
Sure.
amazed at the wireless that pop up in my immediate neighborhood in terms of my neighbors. Some of them have themselves with a password protected, and others are just wide open, so you can actually use their wireless if you wanted to. And I think that that's, you know, I mean, if I can see that in a residential setting with just the small, low bandwidth, probably 6 megabytes being, you know, is generally offered under the DSL and probably less for others, that close at hand. I'm thinking 50 megabytes hub there at the Vets Hall. Are they gonna be able to pick it up at the gas station up at Main and Weatherlow or down at Susanville Supermarket, or is it gonna be within a 50 or 100 feet radius of the building, or?
Can I answer that?
Yes.
I'm Joe Okaneski, sorry I'm late, traffic. Joe Okaneski. No, just because of the speed that it's gonna have, the 50 megabit, that doesn't mean that it's gonna go a long distance. The distance is basically a product of the router. So the routers normally go 1 to 200 feet depending on the structure, you know, metal framing, things like that. So no, it won't go very far, probably not much outside the building, I would guess. And that's an older building, it's probably brick, so. But normally 200 feet would be the maximum distance for a router. Now, if we want to go further, if you want to do that, there is ways to put range extenders on it and get it out
No, I
further.
don't
But
think that's what we're.
Yeah, no, but-
I just want to know.
yeah,
No, I just want to know, to what extent are we going to have folks around us either complain or be happy at the fact that they have this all of a sudden showing up?
yeah, it'll just be that, you know, that 100, 200 foot. And again, we can make it shorter if you like. But
Well, no, I'm not advocating either, I just
Yeah.
want to know what is expected.
yeah, no, it's not gonna. Probably wouldn't make it across the street or anything like that. So.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Joe. Good to
Yep.
see you.
It'll become a great hangout for the kids.
Yeah.
That's
At least you know where they'll all be, right?
Anybody else, any other supervisors have any questions or comments before I open it up to the audience? Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments on this, or? Oh, we
One
have
more.
Plymouth Sierra in the room. Any other questions or comments on the high-speed internet that's coming our way?
One more comment I would like to make is that this will be an annual review, so right now we are offering it for a 1-year timeframe. 1 year, yes,
So it'll be a year-to-year decision being made.
correct.
Correct.
Anybody else have any comments?
I just have one comment, and this is really something that maybe Public Works, but I know that you talk about putting signs up, and I think that we just don't want to damage the structural integrity of that building. And thank you both for the opportunity, and Zito Media also, for extending this to the Veterans Service Office. So just, I don't know what type of signs you were talking about, but we just don't want to damage that.
No, right, no, absolutely, we would be cognizant of that. I think primarily, you know, when the Wi-Fi network is set up, usually you'll see something that says, you know, the Chapman family or something like that on the wireless networks when you pull up your phone. So we would just, you know, whether it's PST, Zito, internet service or something like that, just to kind of recognize the partnership and the sponsorship of that service.
So we're talking about putting a sign on the outside of the building?
Probably not.
I would guess no.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think there would be some concern about, because it's taken us a long time to get that building.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
and
People are
it's
real
beautiful.
thrilled
It really
with
has
what's
turned out
looking.
nice.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I think maybe on the doorway going in the glass or something, having a sign that says Wi-Fi available.
Exactly.
You know, courtesy of or whatever,
Sure.
that would be
Correct.
appropriate, but having like a big sign.
no, right.
No.
Thank you very much. There's an action here to consider approving the donation of the free 50 megabyte internet service.
I would move, Mr. Chairman, that we accept the offer for the donation from Zito and the Plymouth Sierra Rural Electric for this and give it a try. I think it's a good move.
Second, yeah. I also, yeah, thank you, that's gonna be really great, it's very nice.
It's been moved and seconded then to accept the donation. Any further discussion by board members? I have one thing I'd like to compliment or congratulate Plymouth Sierra on the completion of the grant and so on and so forth. That was a tight schedule for you,
Yeah.
a lot of money, and I think it's a great asset to the community and especially the community of Earl on this. Thank you, Joe, for all your
Yeah.
hard work, and please pass along our best to Bob on that.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, it carries unanimously. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time to come out. Moving on to item, I think we're down to H4. Nope, pardon me, H3. Moving on to H3, Health and Social Services, and this is their list of contracts for 2013-14. Melody?
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Starting to feel like I'm hogging the mic here.
Hey, happy to have you there.
You have before you our annual list of contracts and MOUs. We are asking for your approval so that Mr. Nichols can sign everything that needs to be signed, and we can go ahead and pay some of our contractors and vendors right away, because as you know, some of our vendors on our list are really small providers, such as the Family Resource Centers.
Exactly. Any questions or comments by board members? And I just asked Melody, do you want to highlight anything that's extremely different from last year, or?
No, they're pretty
I didn't see
consistent with what we've
anything.
done in the past.
That's all pretty much the standard stuff.
Little up,
Supervisor
little
Chapman, you happy to hear from you?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I had just a couple questions, and maybe Melanie can help me kind of sort through it, because there's a lot of fine print on these pages, and
Yes.
I appreciate the format, and I appreciate the process. This was something that dates back several years to try to make, because we used to get these contracts scattered throughout the year. A lot of times we'd be approving a contract in May of the year that began on July 1, so by the time we got around to approving it, it was due to expire. And I assume that all of these here, in terms of services being provided, we're getting the contracts processed in a timely fashion
Yes.
up front. But the question I have, and it's been a kind of a peeve that I've had for many years, and that deals with funding for the group homes that are in place, kids through the amount of money that some of these group homes get compensated. And I know we have a couple foster family agencies that are in here, and obviously those are standard agreements, and they do operate homes within those. But beyond that basic level, I was just curious as to if we had contracts in here for group homes as included, are those handled separate from this mass product?
The state sets the rate for children's group homes. The contracts or MOUs with the local foster family agencies are for other services that they're providing for us. The state sets the rate for those group homes based on the services they provide. They've got a formula where you get so many points for this and so many points for that.
Do they still set the rate based upon what the host county is willing to provide? Because I know there was a time with some of these contracts, and maybe I'm dating myself, and it's evolved, but it's part of the, you might say, the indelibly impressed thing. But it used to be that, if a host county, but if somebody moves in and they set up a group home and they want to charge $5,000 a month for kids, a kid to be there, that would only be, whatever the host county was willing to pay became the maximum rate that you charge the other counties. So they always would come in, hustle the home county to give them a favorable rate, a highly favorable rate, whether they used it or not, and then go to other counties and peddle their services. And usually the big urban counties are anxious to find anything and anywhere. Finding a bed space could be challenging, so forking over, and it becomes a very lucrative business for those that run some of these group homes. Theoretically, when you're getting $4,500 or $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 a month per child, you're kind of expecting that kind of service in return. But in some cases, they were providing minimal assistance to the people, not providing maybe some of the specialized services that you would think, and pocketing the rest. So it becomes, in some respects, kind of a basic scam. There's been a number of scandals over the years. And so to me, I've always been really diligent about wanting to make sure that we don't enable that kind of system. So I was just kind of curious on here. I was looking for it, but I didn't really see anything that jumped out at me. But do we have
larger counties can license their own foster homes. I believe they can license group homes, but I don't know of any that actually do, because there's
well, the counties
some
usually
pretty
don't-
stiff requirements for group homes.
Yeah, the counties don't necessarily do the licensing, but in order to,
No,
say,
counties can. We have never chosen to do that. We haven't had much luck recruiting foster parents because the FFAs can pay a higher rate.
right,
They're all licensed by, the rest are all, and any county licensing a home, their requirements have to be at least as strict as the state's requirements. So they're all licensed by the state too, and the rates are all set by the state, so
okay.
there's
Well,
no.
they've kind of, I think probably as time has gone on, they've kind of jumped in there because of the, you might say, the scandals that were out there, and maybe have cleaned that up a little bit, but I just want to make sure that.
But the
we're not-
rates are still
Oh,
incredible.
yeah, unbelievable, you know.
Yeah, 6,000 to 8,000 a month for a group home.
Yeah. And, you know, and maybe in some respects, you may not begrudge that if the child that's being held there is getting $6,000 to $8,000 worth of service per month for being placed there. But in a lot of cases, that's not it.
Well, there are a lot of group homes that provide services that we just don't have available here. In fact, one of our serious issues here is that we don't have a treatment program for sexual offenders, minor sexual offenders, even adults, but for minors in particular. And so the programs are they're pricey, but there's a reason they're pricey. If you put the right programming in place, you can actually treat a child who has a propensity for sexual offenses and with some success, put it into them, whereas the older they become, the harder it is to actually have any success. So we pay for those group home placements, and we've had pretty good luck with them. But it's also one of the reasons why we are growing our wraparound program, is because it means we get to divert those kids from a group home placement, which is almost always out of county, to a placement in county, either low-level foster care placement or with their actual families, and we get to claim the savings on that from the state. And so it's really been a pretty successful program. It means we work with the families, where kids go out of county to group homes, the kids get treatment, but the family doesn't, so they come back to the same place. So we don't think that's the best way to work with families.
As a side, roughly how many placements do we have currently going on in our system with the county?
Just group homes or placements in general?
Group homes and placements in general.
It's been a while since I looked, but I think we probably have about 40 group home placements and another 60 foster care placements. It's not going down like we had hoped. And then we have another 100 plus children in adoption placements, which is good. But we also don't get to set the rates for adoptions. Adoptions rates are negotiated by the adoptions office in Chico with the family. So
most of
those get really
So
good.
most of those placements are handled under contracts that are in this agenda item?
No,
Okay, that's,
placements don't fall under these contracts at all.
that was the question I had, thank you.
Thank you, Melody. Anybody else have any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, anybody in the audience have any questions or comments on this action or any of the individual contracts? Seeing none, Chair to entertain a motion.
I'd move to authorize that.
Moved by Supervisor Pyle, moved by Supervisor Wasik, seconded by Supervisor Pyle to approve the H&SS and Child and Family Services contracts and memoranda of understanding for FY 2013-14 and authorize the CAO to sign. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? That item carries unanimously. We're going to move on to item H4, Public Works. Morning, Larry. Morning. Budget issue. Mike.
Yes, what I have here this morning is a request to have a partial road budget adoption, the amount of $5,512,000. What this is the capital outlay portion of our road operating budget and the entire portion of our road construction budget. This would allow us to continue with our construction projects this summer. The remainder of the road operating budget would follow the regular budget process. Under the operating budget, I think in your packet there, the capital outlay section consists of 35,000 under building improvements. This is for installing a sand house out in Doyle. That's a joint sand house that actually it's a state facility that we install out on our property there. And then there's money there to upgrade the electrical in the beaver shop. Under the equipment line item, we've got replacement of some of our vehicles, trucks, plotter, that's our large map plotter, and filter and service monitor for repairing our radios. And that was for a total of $271,000. The road construction budget consists of our construction projects. That would be our Mooney Road realignment, our Maple Lane Bridge replacement, Skyline Road extension. All of these projects have federal funds, state funds, as revenues for them. And basically, the projects go as far as reimbursable monies from the feds, basically fund the projects.
I have a question.
You bet.
The STIP project on Janesville Main Street, 170,000, so we're finally going to get some work done on.
Yes, that's the initial allocation of money. That's for our permitting, our environmental process.
Okay, so not any maintenance or repair at this one, that comes next.
As part of the our road, this project, the STIP project, is for drainage replacement, upgrade, complete overlay, and adding a bike lane. That project under the STIP is probably going to be 4 or 5 years. So under the maintenance, this year I do have a double chip seal project proposed for Janesville Main Street. And that's under our maintenance budget.
What is STIP again?
STIP is the State Transportation Improvement Program. And it's basically federal and state
Gas tax
dollars,
money.
gas tax money.
Sure, you bet.
So as you go down these, you have STIP, and then you have, like, what's the 7C? There's a bunch of 7Cs. What's the 7C?
7C is our bridges. So those are bridge replacement projects. And the numbers you see there are actually the bridge numbers on our county bridges.
Okay. And what's the ARA on the terminal grasshopper?
That's the.
Oh, that was
That's
that was a project we did a few years ago. That was some of the
Stimulus funds.
stimulus money. That's when we overlaid terminal grasshopper a few years back.
And the Long Valley bridges,
Long Valley bridges
See them there.
are
easements taken care of.
no.
Did you-
We're still trying to get environmental cleared. We hope to get that done this year, and then we'll get allocated for our right.
Before they
Do they have $71 ones on them?
There are two that we've been, Larry and I have been working on for a long time.
Yeah, 12 and 88,
The hack
or
staff.
12 and 81 are
Yeah.
the two that are on hack staff that are in the process.
Anybody else have any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, the audience have any questions or comments of the action? Julie, do you have any questions or comments on this? It's a budget item, you're aware of it obviously, and Larry, and you've run through this?
Yes, it's the same that you submitted to me.
Yes.
Okay, just double checking, thank you.
In order to complete the projects, he needs to have this approved by the board, since we don't have the final budget approved yet.
Okay, very good. If there are no other questions or comments, Chair would entertain a motion. Moved by Supervisor Pyle, seconded by Supervisor Alba to approve the FY 13-14 partial road budget. Since this is a budget item, Jim, does it take 4/5? We're gonna hold the board?
Majority
Yeah,
vote.
The majority vote to adopt.
This is a majority vote to adopt.
Fourth is
Thank
to
you.
change it.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Chair votes aye. Is there any opposition? Carries unanimously. Moving on to item H5. H5 is information from the board, from the CAO, and again, to remind everybody, we are going to be going into closed session immediately following the conclusion of our open session.
Members, just for your information, Susan will be on vacation and miss the meetings of August 13th and 20th, and Lexi will adequately fill her shoes. Looking forward to the opportunity, right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
She is coming back. It's just a vacation, right, Marty?
What's your promise? That's a contract.
I signed nothing.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, a couple of items of correspondence are noted under I. I-1 is a letter from the Department of Housing and Community Development in reference to CDBG clearances and so on. And item number 2 was the letter that was sent to Debbie Valenta and Charles Cooper in reference to the issue out on the Meadow Plains. Yes, Item McCain, please. Pardon me?
Okay, let me just go up here.
Sure.
Can I respond to H